Okay, cool. Well, tonight we're going to talk about threading and then JUnit testing.
Yep.
Um, I have threading, and I did a little research on it. I didn't have a whole lot of time. Well,
Mhm.
I guess I was just super busy. Anyways, so threading, from what I understand, allows your program to run multiple processes at once. So instead of having to wait for calculations, you can start a thread and do calculations at the same time as you're loading a page, for instance.
Mhm.
So it can be super practical for running various things at different times. I don't think it's too expensive on the computer. If you obviously have tons of threads, then it can be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But that's all I really know at this point. I know that in Java it uses class like runnable, and then like their main is like a run class, a run function is like the main, which starts the thread. Um, but yeah, that's about all I've got for now.
All right. Sweet. Let's see if I can get it to pull up. So I'm working on the JUnit testing. And I'll just do a quick screen share. That way I've at least done something. Let's do just this one. Share. Okay. So you can see over here my brief program that I'm in the process of working on. It's very complicated, very complex, and extremely valuable.
It looks like it.
Yes. So in the process of JUnit, when you're doing, what's it called? There's a fancy word for it. Java testing development, it's basically you're programming and you're testing things so they stand alone. So if I had a public class or public, they call it method, they call it function method for multiply, one for divide, this and all these other things. Or if I had them where they were stacked up against each other, so they had things. So it depends on what that one was, depends on this, depends. So if something passes in a bad number, so say this was where it has 1, I put with num1. Those are so dependent on each other. It's hard to test to see, all right, is just this one method working on its own, or this one class or whatever. And so what the JUnit does is it allows us to break it down and test each thing individually to make sure that component functions as it should. And so once we get some code, we can go show you that. And if you took Java, and Casey was the TA for Java 1 with Lavison, a lot of the back half of the class for the programs, he just had little JUnit test things that he'd created to go, and it would run and check each of your methods individually, and if they were all done correctly, it would pass the JUnit tests, and it'd show up here on the little bar that everything would be green if it was passed, and then like red would show up if something didn't pass. And then he could go look and see, oh, yep, here's where you need to go work on this method. And so that's kind of the thing with the JUnit tests, is it allows us to work on a whole project but still test individual elements. Because if you go and you do something, you're like, oh crap, this isn't working, it's not doing what I want, and you go and you start rehashing all of your methods when you only need to rehash just one of them, maybe just somewhere you type something in wrong on one method, it helps to prevent you from going and doing a major overhaul when maybe it was just you used the wrong data type, or you called a function or a method improperly. So that's JUnit, and hopefully I can find some time to get a working example for you for the group.
Cool.
So that's where we're at.
Sweetness. Looks like you can be pretty practical.
Oh yes. And how do I not share anymore?
Just close out of that screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's where we're at with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight, Corey.
Oh, it has been wonderful.
Hopefully Thursday we can have those other 3 guys on here with us.
Yep. That'll be good.
So you get the text from Jerome?
I did.
Well, let me stop.